Welcome to the Waterdeep series. I am kind of refraining from talking about Chapter 3 and onward, Chapter 3 and 4 mainly, because I don't have much to say about that in all honesty without getting into immense specifics. Before I get like deep into the entire series, like before I go real deep and talk about the intricacies of the exact flow of like Chapter 3 and I talk about every encounter in Chapter 4, which there is a total of maybe 70. I can't remember. There's a lot in there. In any case, for now, I'm just going to be going over some more like important things just in case they come up. And hopefully this stuff shouldn't come up in your games, but if it does, I'm helping you here. For the next 4 videos in this series, I'm going to be once again going over the villains, and this time talking about how to use them in combat. Now, 3 out of 4 of the villains should not be used in combat because they will absolutely destroy a lower level party. Gollaglee is a good opponent for a level 5 party. Other than that, the Xanathar against a level 5 party. And that's what we're talking about today, the Xanathar. Now, this campaign can go well beyond 5th level because it kind of just gives you the house and it gives you the dungeons that are not exactly scaled for 5th level. And it says, here you go. Do your thing. And frankly, a beholder should not be encountered until like level 12 to 13. Go and check out the beholder video that I did a while ago. I think that it properly like explains why it's a bad idea. I'm saying this again, beholder is one of the only creatures that actually efficiently adheres to the CR rating of 13 that it is given. Even like my 6 level 11 party members got absolutely royally destroyed by one. But it had a Mind Flayer, a Death Slard, and 4 Minotaurs. They shouldn't have fought there, but they did. So, a beholder, I talk about all of its various abilities and the like in the beholder video. So go and check that out if you need to. However, I am going to talk about more specifically how to use him around his lair as well and with the minions that he has. So, the Xanathar is the ruler of the Xanathar Guild, which is a full-on like mafia tier group that's a bit less subtle, unless they're working with bugbears. Most of the stuff are like, you know, goblins, and they'll send some minotaurs out, and they'll send some frickin'... The Xanathar does all sorts of shit. So, this is going to be within the context of fighting them in their lair, because the Xanathar, you know, they're not going to leave their lair, I don't think. There's plenty of places that they can be encountered due to when you enter. I believe that the DM rolls a dice, and that's where the Xanathar is upon entering. Most of the time, they're going to be, like, I think, in the room of the previous Xanathars, the ones that they dreamed into existence, and then, you know, they shot to death, or the Xanathar got shot to death and the new Xanathar took over, but there's no differences because it's the same creature. So, to start off with, the Xanathar will not be encountered alone. If they are, they retreat, right? Because they have a whole system set up where they can disintegration ray a wall and go through it. In my games, whenever I run a beholder, they do have to roll to see what rays they fire. However, they can choose the target after they've rolled. So if they're like, oh, it's a charm ray, I probably shouldn't target the druid elf with that because they're probably going to be amazing at saving against that sort of thing. But the Xanathar could escape a multitude of different ways, and they most definitely would use their surroundings to their advantage for a number of ways and reasons. For one, they have minions just all around the entire place, and also beyond. You can bullshit like 10 bugbears appearing to even the odds if you really needed to. However, I think that if you're running this during the course of the levels 1 to 5 module by default, the Xanathar should just run away. And they have plenty of things to do so. They have 3 magic items, 3 important rings that they can use. It's a ring of mind shielding, and a ring of resistance to force, so magic missile, and also a ring of invisibility, so the Xanathar can just become invisible at will. And that is probably what they'll do, and then disintegration ray a wall when the party aren't looking and just through that. Because of all of the things a beholder can do, run away is not one of them, because they have a fly speed of 20 feet and that's it. That's just all they have. And the Xanathar doesn't have anything else to really boost that per se. I think that they should just take the dash action if encountered early enough. And late enough, if you can rationalize it in the Xanathar's head. They might think, oh, well, they're pretty powerful, so I should probably just go at them with every single little inch of force that I have and hope that maybe one of them dies, and then they have to prioritize that, and then I can kill another one, and then just they'll all die, right? And I think that should be their thought process. But at early levels, it could be like, right, I think that they're weak, but they might have something that I don't know about, and that scares me, so I'm going to run. And that is what a beholder would most likely do in the situation of not fully understanding a party, because what a beholder does not understand, it fears, and it most of all fears itself. Of all the things, the Xanathar is the most easily manipulated. There are various different ways that you can absolutely piss off the dude, so I think that the party should be careful with just murdering Silgar, because it might make the Xanathar vengeful and kill them, or it might turn the Xanathar into a bumbling mess of crying, and I think it's more likely to anger them. I believe that's what happens. Also, the Xanathar has a lair action where they can shoot another eye ray. So if you really optimized, you could shoot 7 eye rays with Xanathar on a turn, which is petrifying. Another thing to note is that managing where the Xanathar looks is important due to how the Beholder's anti-magic field works. I think that the Xanathar would immediately piece together what is what, just off of face value, but nothing more than that. So let's say looks at the wizard who looks awfully like a fighter. They are going to prioritize someone else that looks like they're a spellcaster. The party could perhaps deceive the Xanathar there, because beholders are only proficient in one skill, and insight is not one of them. It's kind of easy to pull the wool over a beholder's eyes if you do it to the right character, because their insight is +2. Don't try and knock a beholder prone though. Ooh. They will get right back up. So when the Xanathar is having like a showdown with the party, obviously should not be alone. Just to kind of give the party extra targets, I would recommend at like the level that they should face the Xanathar, which is about 11 or 12, perhaps throwing a few bugbears into the mix to prioritize their focus for a round or two. Maybe if they haven't killed Nihilor, or Nihilor hasn't left for whatever reason, then it could be the Xanathar and Nihilor working together, where Nihilor immediately tries to charm one of the enemies, and if that fails, then the Mind Flayer runs, right? Because it has 70 hit points and 15 AC. So I think the way that the dungeon works with the Xanathar escaping is that it wants you to be able to choose the eye rays that the beholder uses, at least for this reason, for like, you know, plot stuff or whatever. I disagree. I think that a beholder gets 6 chances to perhaps get that roll on a d10, and on average, every 2 turns, a beholder should be getting their disintegration ray, which is what the Xanathar will use to escape. So I'm perfectly fine with just sticking with rolling, because if the beholder rolls and they don't get any disintegration rays, they can always just fire it at the party if they're scared. Unless for some reason they manage to rationalize it in their head that they're immune to all of my rays and I'm just powering them up more by shooting them. That's totally a thing you could do to perhaps make the Xanathar more fearful of them. I think that especially if the party like encounter the Xanathar and try to fight it at an early level, Xanathar's just not going to like it whatsoever. They're going to think, oh god, like they look too easy. That's not good. I'm going to flee. My minions occupy them for a bit. I don't care if you die, bye. And then turns invisible and tries to leave. That's a thing. When you're invisible due to the Ring of Invisibility, I believe you can't attack without revealing yourself. Yes. So you get invisibility as like an innate spell. That's almost how it works, without you having to cast a spell or whatever. So that makes sense. Maybe the Xanathar will turn invisible, and then they're going to rationalize it in their head that if I just stay invisible, they're not going to find me, and I will be safe. And I will not attack them because of this, because otherwise my invisibility will fade. And that's kind of how a beholder would rationalize it. Some other interesting minions you could perhaps throw at the party is like, so if the fight is happening on a long corridor, maybe, I don't know, there's minotaurs at the end of it that just go, whoa. There is also a few of the powerful dwarf people that the Xanathar keeps around them. Because in case you can't tell by reading the module, of all of the humanoids, the Xanathar seems to like dwarves. The only humanoid, like, people that aren't, like, monsters in there are dwarves, which is fun. So you could throw 1 or 2 of those in the mix if you really wanted. Amergo, which is how I'm going to say it, the Xanathar's dwarf major domo, is I believe what they are, is just a bag of a buttload of hit points and a few attacks. That's a perfect thing to just put aside someone. Big bag of hit points with some attacks is probably the best thing to stand alongside a big guy who can do all the status effects and massive damage in an area or something like that. That's why, like, the wizard fighter combo is so good, because they have all the bases covered in just those 2, like, people, except the wizard healing themselves, which shouldn't be happening too much if you're doing the fighter-wizard combo. If you have any more questions about it, I'd love to hear what you want to say in the comments, or maybe you can join our Discord where we have a few very active members, which is cool as hell. You can also like and subscribe, because that's the things that you do when you're on YouTube and you like the video. And yeah, thank you for watching. We're going to be talking about maybe... I don't know, what do you want to hear me talk about next in terms of the villains and their combat prowess and how to use them? Trilaxal's probably the most important, so I might keep that until last. I'm a businessman. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.
And you're on, by the way.
I know. It's because you went boom.
Boom.
Boom. You ruined my flow.
Sorry.
I'm an artiste, Laura. Stop talking in the Discord. You're distracting me from giving me the content that you all want. Stop it!